Greetings and good evening. Welcome to the Roundtable, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Tuesday, September the 2nd, 2025. Bones, welcome us over. I am Drew, and I'm one of the two co-hosts of the best, I say it again, the best live sports talk show hitting all of the internets in 2025 and 2026. I'm looking forward to the dialogue for tonight's conversation as we welcome season 3 season premiere for the NFL on the Roundtable. So let's get into it. There are 1,700 plus NFL players who are going to be suiting out this opening weekend with hopes and dreams of hoisting that Lombardi trophy in mid-February as we venture into Super Bowl 60, the Big 60. So let's get after it. Welcome to the 2025 season. Here we go. I can't do it by myself. I got someone who is on this journey with me that is an extremely knowledgeable person as it pertains to all matters football, both college and professional. And he is here to offer not only his in depth analysis about the college football game, the NFL football game, but to impart his knowledge on the rest of us. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you watched the actual season premiere on last Friday night, we collectively came to the understanding that this young man has been tapped, ordained to be the CBSA of the Roundtable. My brother Griff, for everybody who does not know what CBSA stands for, it is the cultural best-selling author, Gary Griffin, who is the author of Don't Talk About It, Be About It, on a bookshelf near you. So make sure that y'all go to Amazon.com. Griff's private link, which he will share in the show, we'll share a little later about his book, and get your copy because it is a life lesson to help you on your individual journey. My man, Griff, how are we doing this fine evening, my brother? Welcome to the season premiere of season 3.
Hey man, good evening, Drew. Good evening, Roundtable family. I am still in mourning right now. Just taking it one day at a time, as you know, and we're gonna talk about it a little bit later. My squad didn't fare too well this weekend, but being here with the Roundtable family, I feel a little bit better. I know they're gonna help me get through it. I know Troy gonna have some kind words to speak when it comes to my squad. So, just glad to be here, my brother, and ready to get into the show.
Well, let's get after it. And before we get after it, welcome to all those that have decided to take 60 plus minutes out of your Tuesday evening to spend with us as we sit here in fellowship and dialogue about some good football, both on the collegiate level and the professional level. So, welcome to the Roundtable audience. Welcome to the Roundtable family. We did have a little bit of technical difficulties in our inaugural show on Friday night. Hopefully, we've gotten all of that cleared up. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook, and we are live on TikTok. So you are able to watch this episode live, interact with us live on either YouTube, Facebook, or TikTok. And obviously, after the show, you're able to catch us on any of the streaming platforms at the Roundtable _ live. All right. And quick shout out to all of you that joined the Roundtable Fantasy Football League over the weekend. We did have our draft yesterday. So hopefully your team is a team that you are going to be proud of throughout this football season, that you are going to compete with throughout this football season, and you are not one of those that decides to call it quits because I'm 1-9. Continue to fight to the very end. Your team will make you proud some way, somehow, even if you finish last. As well as for those pick'ems that are managed by some of our super fans. So welcome to everybody. Troy is MIA. Troy is out on a mission.
He's here. He's on YouTube. I see Troy. I know he can't. He can't. The Facebook family can't see him right now, but Troy is actually enjoying. Make sure you put Troy comments at the bottom of the screen because he's actually on here right now, causing havoc on YouTube.
Yes, sir. And I already seen Troy's first comment. He could not miss this episode because he knows that I'm going to provide in-depth analysis about the Alabama Crimson Tide and their performance this past weekend. So, Troy, welcome. And I do have to answer a couple of your questions that we saw on Friday night about my Tigers of LSU. So we'll talk about those questions later. Let us begin the season premiere with the team that everybody loves to talk about and hates to talk about, the Dallas Cowboys, ladies and gentlemen, because they are partaking in the first game of the year against the defending Super Bowl champ. And whether or not the Dallas Cowboys have realistic expectations of not only winning this game, but having a successful season based on the recent actions around the top tier player that was Micah Parsons, their number one player, but who has since moved on. We'll touch on his contract negotiation and his trade, but more specifically, I want to talk about the game on Thursday night. That is the first game for the NFL season. That is the game that is going to determine whether or not Dallas looks like a legitimate team and can have a successful season. Or is this a game where the Eagles falter? Is this a game where we have that Super Bowl hangover? Or is this the foundation that the Eagles have built to where they are going to go on a 3 to 5 year run based on the age of that team, at the key positions, the youth of that team, and where everybody is sitting in their contracts? So let's get started. Griff, my brother, you have Dallas traveling to the defending Super Bowl champions on Thursday Night Football. It is an opening season game. It is the glitz and the glamour of crowning the previous year's Super Bowl champion, where you're going to have that Super Bowl recognition and presentation at some point on Thursday night during the game, whether it's at halftime or before the game. And the Eagles are going to have their fan base roaring for, one, the celebration of their ring, two, the season actually starting, and three, and more importantly, the disliked Dallas Cowboys are visiting Eagle Nation. There's nothing more joyous that an Eagles fan takes than just destroying Dallas's hopes, regardless of whether or not it's in week 1 or it's in week 17. Do you believe, sir, as the residential Cowboys expert, that the Cowboys have a legitimate shot of going into Philly and dethroning or knocking off the Eagles and creating some shock waves come Friday morning?
Yes, I do. I mean, again, I mean, and that's why we play the game, right?
That's why we play.
I mean, if I would be foolish to think that we couldn't possibly go in there and do something. I know everybody's so caught up in the Micah Parsons trade, and then that just hurt the Cowboys or whatever. But it is 10 other players out there on the field. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the Super Bowl winning Eagles, but hey, you know what? Alabama went into that game supposed to be blowing out Florida State and see what happened. So, right now the distraction is one that the Cowboys is hurting. Michael Parsons ain't there like the sky done fell out or whatever. So I'm looking for a much better game than most people think. This is the first time Dak Prescott in a while and had two actual viable receivers, um, a running game, a young defense. I'm curious to see what the offensive line for the Cowboys is going to look like. But I'm glad now that we actually got a legitimate receiver on the opposite side of CeeDee Lamb that teams got to make a choice now. In the past, we already know where the ball was going to. It was going to CeeDee Lamb. I think you're going to see a lot more running of the ball. It's going to be running back by committee, but I still think I like what I see. Uh, People think we got a bad pick in the trade when we got Ken Clark, but you know what? He is going to be that guy that stopped that run. And so I'm looking forward to seeing this. I think it's going to be a much closer game than a lot of people think it is. Most people, like in what Friday you said, that the Cowboys is going to be at the bottom of the NFC East, and most people have already written us off. But I think it's going to be a game for everybody to watch come Thursday. So let me look in this chat. Let me see what we got going on. I see Richard said Cowboys by 3. I'm personally starting the Cowboy cheerleaders in my fantasy football league. There go Troy. leaving Detroit to sit up here and talk about my team. He was already here, Karen. Troy was over in YouTube world, just trying to come with that, but he was over in YouTube world. But that's my take, Drew. I turn it back over to you, but I think this game gonna be a whole lot closer than a lot of people think it's gonna be.
No, you're right in that aspect. We are talking about professionals, right? And the Dallas Cowboys coming into the season prior to the Micah Parsons trade was somewhere around expectations wise, somewhere around a 9 to 10 win team, and whether or not they were able to squeeze into that 17 playoff was going to be determined on the field based on the health of not only the Cowboys but their opponents throughout the year. But consistency breeds calmness. Calmness breeds productivity. Productivity breeds wins. Wins breeds success. And starting at the very beginning, where you have consistency in upper management, bleeds down to the coaching staff, bleeds down to the rest of the staff, and then it rolls downhill to the players. And you see that performance on the field, whether it's good or not so good, as one would say. And the Dallas Cowboys are in a situation entering the 2025 season where that foundation is not solidified. The actions of their owner and the general manager as it pertains to key contract negotiations, specifically with the number one player on the team, Micah Parsons, has led the Cowboys to entering the season under a cloud of darkness, where they're just in disarray, where you're not talking about the new head coach Schottenheimer and what kind of plan he has for his team, how he plans on making sure his team is successful. You're not talking about the new defensive schemes that they have and how they want to improve off of last year's ranking. Set the Dak injury aside, we want to make sure that we are that team that knocks Philly off within a division and not have Washington compete with Philly. We want to be that team. But Dallas is not under that situation or under that umbrella right now heading into week one. Complete disarray. As I've mentioned, as you've acknowledged, as every other sports analyst, whether they're professional or not so professional, has made light of over the past couple of weeks with this situation. So realistically speaking, the Cowboys are going to be struggling throughout the upcoming year, in my humble opinion, which is a educated guess, hypothesis, usually facts. So look for the Cowboys to be in disarray for a large part of the year. But specifically for this game, I'm going with the Eagles. Nope. No hesitation there. There is no confusion as to what the expectation for the Eagles is. As I mentioned in my opening comments, the Eagles have put together a foundation on defense that is not only solid, but ladies and gentlemen, let us not forget what they did to the vaunted Kansas City Chiefs 6 months ago. They broke down Patrick Mahomes. The two-time defending Kansas City Chiefs looked like they were in preseason, while the Eagles' defense looked like they were in the Super Bowl. Just completely annihilating the Chiefs' offense. I'm looking for that consistency right off the bat on defense. Not so much what the offense is going to do for the Philadelphia Eagles, because we know new offensive coordinator, new offensive scheme, but you still have Jalen Hurts. You still have Saquon. You still have Brown on one side and the speedster on the other side, Smith and Goddard catching.
And they went and got John Mechie too. So I mean, they got a start. I picked. Let me go ahead and get this clear. You asked me, could the Cowboys win? And I said yes, but I did pick the Eagles in the beginning of the season because of all of the off-season bull crap that went on the last couple of weeks, and then this bombshell that Jerry do last week. Yeah, I think the Eagles will win, but I don't think this game is going to be a blowout like everybody making it out to be. That's super. I mean, hey, like I know, no team in the NFC East has ever won back to back in that conference.
True. Right.
So we crowning them already because they won the Super Bowl last year, but that don't mean nothing for me. That's all.
We are not crowning them, sir. I'm just saying they are coming into the season as the prohibitive favorite to not only win the division, but to be in the NFC Championship game, or at a minimum, the divisional round of the playoffs. And we'll see where the cards fall at that time. But the Eagles going anything less than 12-5, 13-4 would be a disappointing regular season for them. Now, barring injuries, right? But they should be able to sustain what they established last year. And this game, you're right, it's not going to be a blowout, but it's not going to be in doubt either. So look for the Eagles to win by at least 14 points. Fly, Eagles. And quick shout out to Fred. Quick shout out to Fred at the top of the show for being the number one Eagles fan. I'm only playing. I'm not telling the truth. Fred is not the number one Eagles fan. I don't want to disrespect the rest of the Eagles fans. I know Adrian, a strong Eagles fan. I know. I'm trying to think of the names from last year.
We got Christian. Christian has always been an Eagles fan. Adrian is an Eagles fan. Fred is whoever wins. Fred is whoever wins. That's Fred's squad.
Fred representing the 313 tonight. What up, though? Hey, we're gonna get to your new team, Fred. Don't worry about it. But we're both going with the Eagles. You saying it's going to be a closer game. I say that you can actually go to bed by halftime, roughly 9:45. If you got to get up,
you go to bed. If you go to bed by halftime, you go miss a show. You go, hey. This is a rivalry game here too, and again, the Eagles the one, and we need to move it on. But the Eagles did their thing last year, but we know the Eagles know who their dad is. Christian, though, go do the numbers. Go check the numbers. Now I ain't talking about Super Bowl era. I mean, I ain't talking about back in the 90s.
What?
Go look at the numbers.
You said who's your father?
Yeah.
Who's your mama?
Go look at the track record between these two teams.
The disrespect. Okay, we shall see. But just as we did with Friday night show, the 4 games that we talked about on the Friday night show for the college football opening season, or opening weekend, where you had those 4 primetime games on Saturday and Sunday, I said the national champion was going to come out of those 4 games, right? The teams from those 4 games. I believe that one of those 8 teams will win the national championship. And in the NFL, these first three games that we are talking about, Cowboys aside, I believe one of the first 5 teams that we're talking about, 5 of the 6 teams that we're talking about in these first 3 games, will win the Super Bowl this year. The next game I want to talk about, man, is Friday night's game, where it's going to be on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. YouTube, welcome to the NFL, where YouTube will be broadcasting live games this year. And opening it up, the Chiefs traveling to the Chargers. Now, this is a very, very interesting game as a seasonal opener for me for this specific reason. Kansas City had a record of 15-2 last year. And many, many people say that was a down year for the Kansas City Chiefs on the offensive side. Why? Because we know they didn't score 30 points. Shout out to Miles. At any point throughout the regular season or even the playoffs. I think they scored it once in the playoffs. But yet finished 15-2 and was the number 1 overall seed in the AFC and 7th time consecutively in the AFC Championship game and going for a 3-peat in the Super Bowl. But John Harbaugh, older brother, Jim Harbaugh, has entered the chat and turned the Los Angeles Chargers into what Staley had as a consistent 8-18 into a legitimate threat for the Kansas City Chiefs, along with what Denver has under Sean Payton, has turned the Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert into a legitimate threat right out of the gate. So Kansas City cannot just automatically assume that the AFC West is theirs again. They are going to have to earn it this year. The Chargers are going to be right there. The Broncos are going to be right there. And opening the season up, at SoFi Stadium. I don't know if the Chargers have their new stadium built yet. If not, they'll be playing at SoFi Stadium, where every visiting team is the home team playing against the Chargers. Past history, but this year, the on the field talent that Jim Harbaugh has brought to the season is going to make this game, I believe, give and take, where it could come down to which team has the ball last and whether or not they have enough time to drive down the field to get that game winning score, whether it's a touchdown or a game winning field goal. What kind of game are you expecting in the season opener for both of these teams? And do you believe the Chiefs, who many people say are better than they were last year, because the return of Rice, because Worthy has another year under his belt, because Patrick Mahomes is on a revenge tour after getting embarrassed in the Super Bowl? Got it, Travis Kelce may have gotten a step slower, but that doesn't really matter because you only need Travis Kelce for certain plays during certain drives. Rashid Rice on the outside, on one side, Worthy on the other side, a solid running game with multiple running backs, and the best quarterback of this generation. And I forgot to mention the best coach currently in the NFL. Do the Chiefs make it back to the Super Bowl? Quick question, quick answer. Or do they get knocked off in the division? And more specifically, after you give me those two quick answers,
I
how
can't remember, man. You done asked me so many things, and you ain't let me say nothing yet.
hey, you got the good stick with the part, man. How do the Chargers come out of the gate this year?
So first of all, I think the Chiefs is a much better team this year.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at the fact that last year he only had Kelsey. Worthy was hurt, Rice was hurt, Hollywood Brown was hurt. He got all those guys back this year. Two go along with us. So you're gonna definitely see a better Kansas City Chief team. I think do they have the ability to win their division? Yeah, I think so. I think if you look at the numbers, Herbert hasn't proved anything to get me to believe anything otherwise. When you look at how they both have played against each other, I think Jim Harbaugh is going to try to control the game with the running game. They got Najee Harris out there, and so with Najee Harris and a couple of the other running backs that they have out there, that's how they're going to try to control the game and with defense. I still think this game right here is you talked about the revenge piece as far as them how they got embarrassed in the Super Bowl. I don't think none of the teams out the gate show who they truly are in that first game, but I do think that the Chiefs do have something to prove because so many people said the dynasty is done. Again, people, the minute you lose, people gonna flip flop anyway, and then the minute you win, they back on your side again. But
Fred,
I see the Chiefs winning this game. I see this game.
really?
Yeah, I see again. I see Patrick Mahomes last second heroics like he always do. Maybe some officiating call to keep him in, but I still think the Chiefs. To me, the Chargers, even with Harbaugh there, they still didn't prove nothing to me last year against the Chiefs, and I still don't think they're gonna prove anything this year with everything that Mahomes and Andy Reid has this year that they didn't have last year. That's my take.
Yeah, and I definitely understand that analysis, right? Because you have to show me you can be dependable before I trust you to be dependable. And the Los Angeles Chargers, throughout Justin Herbert's career, have been that team that presents all of the potential, all of the possibilities, but never bring it to fruition because they show up for big games, but lose games they're supposed to win. That has been their track record throughout Herbert's tenure. But at the same time, again, enter into the chat Jim Harbaugh, who has been proven to be consistently a winner wherever he is at whatever level he is at. Not necessarily the first year, but definitely some improvement from the first year to the second year. This is the second year in the Charger system. We saw how improved they were last year. You hear many People who are familiar with the Los Angeles Charger organization say that not only do they have a legitimate shot if everyone remains healthy, but they are going to be competing for the AFC West title. You say this game is going to come down to Patrick Mahomes and his late fourth quarter heroics. I agree. If Patrick Mahomes has the ball in his possession late in the fourth quarter, it could be on the other side of the coin where Justin Herbert finally shows up at the very beginning of the year to have the conversation be about the Chargers in La La Land and not necessarily the Rams, the Lakers, the Dodgers, but let the Chargers into the conversation. And I believe they make their case right out of the gate in 2025 to show the NFL that whatever system that Harbaugh has in place for his team, again, if health is not an issue, they are here to create some noise. Will they win Friday night's game? Who? No, they will not.
Hey, hey, man, Christian say you speaking with conviction and audacity this year.
Hey, the emotional connection that I've always had to my hometown team, my home state team, the Who Dat family of NOLA, is at some reason is not deep in my spirit. I acknowledge we are going to be struggling a little bit this year, and I can speak with clarity about everybody else. So the conviction will hopefully stay there. Chiefs win the season opener at Los Angeles on Friday night on YouTube, but this game will be a very good game. This game will be a nail biter, in my opinion, where the Eagles Cowboys game, not so much. The next game, ladies and gentlemen, I believe will produce this year's Super Bowl champion. The rematch from last year's playoff, where you have the Baltimore Ravens traveling to the Buffalo Bills, Lamar Jackson trying to get a little bit of redemption revenge against Josh Allen, who not only beat him in the playoffs last year to knock Baltimore out and dash their Super Bowl hopes, but on a more individual basis, was selected as the NFL regular season MVP over Lamar Jackson, where many people believed that LJ8, 8 is great, was actually the MVP. You begin in week one to reclaim your title if you are Lamar Jackson as the best quarterback in the game. If you want to finally get over that hump and prove that I am the guy. Regular season MVPs are great, but this is the year we have the team to win it all. On paper, just as the Baltimore Ravens were last year, the best team in the National Football League. Last year, they started the year with a rookie defensive coordinator, and it took that defense about halfway through the season to finally get on track. Well, this year, we have a year under our belt. And by the time the playoffs came around last year, Baltimore was clicking on all cylinders as it pertains to the defense. We all know what happened in the divisional round game, that key fumble after Mark Andrews caught the pass over the middle, that dropped 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Other turnovers derailed the Baltimore season again, especially the offensive calling in the second half when you have the king in the backfield. It's snowing outside. They're playing outside. It's 20 degrees, and you decide to throw the ball and not give King Henry the ball. Anyway, what are you looking for in this game, Griff, that I have dubbed the pre-Super Bowl champ game on Sunday night between the Bills and the Ravens? Whose year is it going to be? Is it going to be Josh's year or is it going to be Lamar's year?
Well, you know what I said on Friday, man. The Bills messed up when they let Hard Knocks come and do they preseason. You know what happened when you go on Hard Knocks? It's all downhill from
All
there.
downhill after
Uh,
that.
I think this is the year that Lamar and the Ravens they get over the hump. I just again, you talked about it, and I said it, and I said it again. The only reason why they weren't playing against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship games because they refused to stick to the script. They got all script. They didn't get. I think King Henry only touched the ball. I don't think he touched the ball maybe 16 times in that game. This game right here, I think more experience is on the Ravens side. The Bills, they got some new pieces. Gabe Davidson came back, so that's a connection that Josh Allen has with him. So he'll probably come up from the practice squad and get him in there and start playing. Amari Cooper left. They had contract disputes with Cook throughout the offseason, so that that could be a problem in the locker room. But what I saw with this team, especially with Hard Knock giving us an inside view, I think in this game, especially on Friday, the Ravens will win this game at least by a touchdown if they don't try to get cute and take the ball out of King Henry's hand.
So, during our season finale show last year, right, when we had Jordan on screen and we talked about what the Baltimore Ravens did correctly throughout the regular season to get them to the point to where they were. We talked about the mistakes that they made in that game, the play calling that they made in that game, and the decisions that were made that ultimately cost them not only the game but their season. They did what they were supposed to do during the offseason by re-signing King Henry to make sure that he is there for an additional 2 years, as the Eagles did last year as well, re-signing Saquon Barkley to the highest contract in the history of the National Football League for running backs, average of $20+ million a year. But all of these teams are doing the smart thing, signing these key players, giving them these contracts that they deserve, that they are worked based on the market, and then front loading a lot of that contract in contract signing bonuses, where Saquon Barkley contract was 2 years, $41 million, but he got $36 million of that up front, where for the next 2 years, he's basically going to be operating on a $2.5 million contract. That is good GM management that the Eagles are practicing, that other teams are practicing, except for the Charlie Oscar Whiskey. Bravo, Oscar.
I always figure out a way, man. We live rent free. We live rent free in Joker's head. What this had to do with the Cowboys? This ain't had nothing to do. We're talking about the Ravens.
I did not say that word. You did, sir. But my point is, you saw it in the chat. Troy said run the ball. You said run the ball. Karen mentioned that you have a new place kicker. Justin Tucker is no longer the place kicker, so you have a little bit of doubt on that side. But coming into the season, with the things that you listed about the Buffalo Bills, the key players that they lost, and what is at stake for both of these two teams, where both of them are favored to not only make it to the AFC title game, but both of them are favored to make it to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl for the first time in a very long time for each one of these two franchises. I believe that right now, going into the season, both are good. Both are expected to be successful, but the Baltimore Ravens are, again, the best team heading into the season in the entire National Football League. Again, last year, they did what they were supposed to do as it pertains to play calling during the regular season. Lamar had an MVP season, 4,000 yards passing, almost 1,000 yards rushing, and spread the ball out to multiple receivers. You had the second best running back, according to the stats, in the National Football League, gaining 1,900 plus yards, and Derrick Henry, who had an MVP season himself. And the only reason that he did not get 2,000 yards was simply because of LJ8, who almost had 1,000 himself. So John Harbaugh has to be very, very careful this year, in my opinion, to not mess this up, because he has messed this up by his coaching decisions in the playoffs the last 2 years. Being the number 1 seed in 23, being the number 3 seed in 24, and hosting the AFC title game against the Chiefs in 23 and losing because of play calling, and losing last year's divisional round game to the Buffalo Bills because of play calling. Him and Todd Munchin have to get on the same sheet of music when it comes to playoff football play calling because you're not utilizing your assets. And to me, if John Harbaugh does not lead the Buffalo Bills with everything being perfect, no injuries to the Super Bowl, it's time for him to go. Just like people believe it's time for Pittsburgh to look at making a change, even though they've been successful for 2 decades, right? Sometimes it's just time to make that change. John Harbaugh, to me, is playing for his job this year. But Ravens travel to Buffalo on Sunday night, where everybody is watching, and get their first victory of the year in week one against one of the three better teams in the National Football League coming into the season. So this should be a very good game, very interesting game, very tight game, which will most likely come down to a last possession where I believe the Ravens will win 27-24. What you got?
I got the Ravens by 7. I don't know what the score, but it's gonna be by 7. Hey, right fast before we go to the next. Everybody in the chat, make sure y'all share the show with your people. Have them to come on in here and join the conversation. I see y'all living it up inside the chat. Ain't no need your friends and family missing out on all the fun. Bring them on up in here. Share it with them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for that plug. Once again, Karen, you're absolutely right. The pressure is on John Harbaugh. We talk about GM making sure that they put the best product on the field. Baltimore has had the best product on the field for a couple of years now and have come up short. And it's nobody's fault other than the coaching and the play calling, in my opinion. Yes, Lamar has not performed big time in the playoffs where he's had a couple of turnovers. But again, all of that goes to play calling, making sure that you set yourself up for success later on in the game. So looking forward to that one on Sunday night. These first 3 games, ladies and gentlemen, are going to be a precursor to how great the NFL season is going to be. We're going to talk about those other games a little later on in the show, but man, did we have an opening weekend in college football this weekend. We had 4 of the best games, anticipated best games, heading into any season for quite a while, where you have these 4 games had top 10 teams ranked all the way across. And a couple of them were a little shocker. A couple of them were, okay, this is what I expected. This is going to be that team that years that represents. And then some of us still figuring things out. Let us begin with the number 1 ranked Texas Longhorns. Horns down. Y'all showed that y'all were not ready for prime time once again. Traveling up to Columbus, Ohio to take on the defending national champs, where Ryan Day had his squad prepared. Coming into the season, we knew that Ohio State had a solid defense. Coming into the season, that we knew that Texas had a solid defense. Both of these 2 defenses showed up during this game on Saturday. We knew that defenses early on in the year are usually more advanced and better prepared than offenses, but I won't say disappointed because I'm not a Texas fan, but I was surprised that Arch Manning did not come into this game better prepared. Sark did not come into this game with a better game plan to make sure that Arch was set up for success. And the jitters of early season definitely showed its face. Arch Manning was throwing passes that just fell short where he was semi-pressured, but these were passes that you expect a Heisman hopeful to be able to come out right out of the gate and connect with his receivers. The early season jitters definitely got to him, in my opinion. These upcoming couple of games against lesser talented teams will give him that opportunity to kind of settle in a little bit. But he came up short in the season opener against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Any further conversation of him being part of the Heisman talk? I know we're going to talk about that week 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but he ain't ready. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. No Heisman talk for Arch Manning. He is not the savior of college football. He is just a young junior playing and getting his feet wet. So let us relax on Arch Manning conversation about him being the greatest thing since sliced bread, or Tim Tebow, as your favorite guy loves to say. But were you impressed with the defense of Ohio State and how they took advantage of Texas's inefficiency?
I was. I mean, you got Matt Patricia, who's known for defenses, and I'm pretty sure he brought some of those schemes in there from the NFL, which blew their mind. But that my surprise went on that side of the bar, and as much as you want to say we're gonna stop talking about Arch, it ain't gonna happen. They won't allow that to happen. Trust and believe. The name will be pushed back up, and it's just the first game of the season. I was more disappointed with Sark's game plan. Just me, and maybe it could be because of Ohio State's defense and how they ran it. But I didn't see no dogs. I ain't see no dogs on the Texas side. Again, with all the money, both teams invested a lot of money in players. But I didn't see, and I know they lost a lot of players, went into the NFL last year. But I didn't see no standouts. I didn't see a running back that was dominant. I didn't see receivers that was dominant. I mean, again, we could contribute to the defense of Ohio State, but everybody put this on Arch. I'm never a one person. This is a team sport. This is not golf. This is not tennis. But everybody like to put it on one person if the game go wrong. To me, and you're gonna hear me say the same thing in the Alabama game. This does not look like a Steve Sarkisian coach offense to me. I didn't see no flair. This looked like basic Pop Warner game plan that they had. I ain't see no again. I didn't see a Golden over there or a Bun or an Isaiah Bun on there. So we can say that Arch was off, but Arch was also under duress. We didn't have a running game, and Texas is known for they running game, they RPOs and stuff like that. They didn't have a whole bunch of times that he was running unless he was running out. They didn't have design runs for him. But I just still think it's early. Neither team offense showed me anything other than the quarterback on the other side. He did play a lot better, but I think Ryan Day and the offensive play, they put him in good situations. Whereas Sark, who's supposed to be the better offensive minded person, did not put his quarterback in I think plays. Near the end of the game, he let it open up a little bit, but it was still elementary to me.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's part of the reason why Texas lost this game, because of the offensive game plan that Sark brought into this game. But he probably had an idea that his offense was not where he wanted to be. So he had to hold the offensive game plan somewhat close to the vest, right? Because the play calling is only a reflection of what I've seen you are able to do. And either Archie was not able to put together a offensive scheme that they could go into Ohio State and have success against that defense, or the Ohio State defense is just that good. And the separation that you expect Texas receivers to be able to get, they were not able to get because those cornerbacks from Ohio State were right there, step for step, stride for stride with them. So they were not able to get the separation to give Arch the opportunity to have these deep passes that he may have wanted to attempt. You're right. Neither one of the offenses really displayed any type of efficiency that you would be proud of. But it is what it is. That's the expectation after week one. I know I picked Texas to win this game.
Yeah.
I was disappointed in the offense that Texas displayed, not being able to put any points up until late. And it showed that they, too, are not ready. They have a schedule that is somewhat laxed in the first half of the season, but activity picks up in the second half with that SEC schedule. And we'll see what Texas looks like a month from now after Arch has some time to settle down. Ohio State's defense is going to be their driving force. At least for the first couple of weeks or until their offensive traction picks up. But Ohio State, number one this week after that win. Can't be mad at that. They held home court. They are the defending national champs. And the Patricia era has begun as the OSU defensive coordinator. And hats off to you. We'll see you in a few weeks. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the part of the show where we get to talk about the team that is on Griff's right shoulder there, the Alabama Crimson Tide, where we talked about this game on Friday night. And what we were looking for, or what Griff was looking for from his team, to not only win this game on Saturday, but to come into the 2025 season with the expectation of representing not only the people of Tuscaloosa well, not only the Alabama Crimson Tide fans well, but to be able to make a statement right out of the gate that we are going to be a confirmed playoff team, where all of that was turned on its head as they went into Tallahassee and got their Alpha Sugar spanked. There's no other way you can put it. This is not your granddaddy's or your father's or even your older brother's Alabama team, ladies and gentlemen. This is an Alabama team that is struggling to find an identity in 2025. The lack of efficiency on offense that you would expect from an Alabama team was not there. The sense of urgency that you would expect from an Alabama team was not there. The explosiveness that you expect was not there. The discipline that Griff specifically identified that needed to be improved upon in 2025 is definitely not there. And the tackling that you would expect from an Alabama team was definitely not there. Super proud of what the Florida State Seminoles did for their fans and their home base, where they rushed the field after the game like they just had won the national championship. But how disappointed are you in this loss, Griff? And more specifically, what do you see your Crimson Tide needing to work on heading into week 2, 3, and 4 to make sure that y'all are going into the season, the SEC season, better prepared than what you were last Saturday?
So, very disappointed. Was not expecting what even with all the disciplinary problems and the change up and stuff, I still thought we would go out there and put on a better performance. And the way we started the game is what I really wanted to see. We took the ball down, we ran the ball, and people say Florida State made adjustments or whatever. No, the team panicked because Alabama still, after all that said and done, they stopped running the ball. They could have continued to run the ball. Jordan asked the question, what do I like the new quarter? I'm a Ty Simpson fan. I want to see the kids succeed. There's a whole bunch of other people. They so ready to put the 5-star in, and they gonna crucify the 5-star the same way they crucified Ty Simpson when he get in there. Because the problem with Alabama is it's the coach. It's on both sides. When you and I hate to say this because me being in the military, and you know how we talk about you never talk about the previous leadership once that person leave, and I don't like to get caught up in this. Whether Nick Saban we know what Nick Saban ain't there right now, but coaching is coaching. And what I saw out there, the defense never was set. They always looking around. Castellano running plays and the defense ain't even, and then no hustle. That's coaching. And even on the offensive side, Ryan Williams looked like a superstar last year. This year he looked average. He wasn't even a part of the game, man. And again, that is coaching. And you can't tell me that you spent all spring and summer and then this is how you come out there. I don't get caught up in preseason rankings and stuff like that because I know they always never really correct. With the exception of when Nick Saban was there, most of the time they was number one, and if not, eventually we got to where we needed to be. But I wasn't expecting what I saw. We got beat on both sides in every aspect of the game, and I ain't afraid to admit it. We got beat in every aspect of the game, and at the end of the day, when your whole team get beat, it's one person that you got to put the blame on, and that's that coach. People can say, well, the coach ain't out there on the field. No, the coach sets the mindset of the players out there on the field. And for what I seen, yeah, Alabama, Nick Saban, the like you said, this ain't your granddaddy's and your dad's Alabama team, 17 years. But I was there during the Mike Shula years and some of those other coaches that we had. And I would tell you, them Alabama boosters, they don't take kind of losing, and they will get rid of a coach in a heartbeat. And so he better get his stuff right here in the next couple of weeks as we play some of these, because we got Georgia in a couple of weeks. So it better be a better showing in that game than in this game right here. That's all I got to say on that, man.
Man, there's so much to say about the Alabama Crimson Tide, but I meant to announce this at the top of the show, so apologies for the late introduction. This year, each show we will have poll questions of the show. Troy submitted a couple of questions on Friday that I wanted to make sure that I address. But the two poll questions for tonight's show, one is Troy's question about which team is wide receiver university, whether it was LSU or Ohio State, just based on the current receivers that we have from each one of those two schools in the NFL right now. So that is poll question number one for the night. Which university do you believe is wide receiver university, LSU or Ohio State? And the second poll question, based off of the results from the Alabama Florida State game this weekend, is do you believe that Alabama will end the season in the rankings at all? Forget the playoffs, forget winning their conference. Do you believe, based off of what you saw on Saturday for the Alabama Crimson Tide, do you believe that they will end the season in the rankings? Now, question for you, Griff, because John mentioned it in the comments that the boosters from Alabama have certain expectations, which means we are to compete for the national championship on a yearly basis. We become accustomed to winning based off of what Nick Saban has done. He's brought us 6 natties in the last 15 plus years. So we are expected to win. And the Alabama way of doing things, it is not to take an L and to muddle through the season. Last year, first red flag, lost to Vandy after winning a huge game against Georgia. Second red flag was losing to 4 unranked teams in the Boers' first 14 or 15 or 16 games. That is 4 losses to 4 unranked teams. Nick Saban had 4 losses to unranked teams throughout his entire time. And the third concern and question for you, Griff, because John mentioned it a couple of minutes ago, it is even if the boosters are not, they have a short supporting stance, so to speak, for DeBoer, and wouldn't think twice about firing him. You know, the buyout is $70 million. It's not unheard of. It's not unprecedented to fire a coach with that big of a price tag, because I know Texas A&M did it with Jimbo Fisher, sending him home with $88 million. But if Alabama was to say, you know, we lose to Georgia, and we lose to Georgia bad, and we make the decision that, okay, DeBoer, you're a good coach, you're a winning coach, but you're just not Alabama's guy. Who do we get to replace him? Lane Kiffin?
No,
Coordinator? Sark?
it won't be this year. Even if they was to try to go out the Lane Kiffin, it won't be this. Hey, y'all make sure, first of all, before I go, y'all make sure that y'all answer Drew questions in the chat as far as the polls. But I really don't know what coach out there right now that will be willing to come to the University of Alabama and deal with the heat. It ain't easy coming behind somebody like Nick Saban. All right, it's like coming behind a Bill Belichick up at the Patriots, or every time you come across a coach like whoever Andy Reid, whoever got to come behind Andy Reid, gonna get the same heat that the boys getting right now. The boosters don't care. That Alabama money, that's our professional football team in the state of Alabama. So they really don't care about money. They'll do what they got to do. But I still see Alabama go. Based off of the day. I mean, based off of this weekend, the question was asked, do I see them being ranked? Based off the way we played, I don't see it. I'm shocked that right now they got us ranked in 21st. And I'm shocked we still in the way we played. We did not look like a squad. And I know they based it off of what our roster look like and all this other stuff and our other games. But I don't see Alabama. If they don't change some stuff, Alabama will not be ranked at the end of this season.
All right, well, we'll see a month from now how Alabama looks, especially after the Georgia game. Will Williams be included more in the offense? Will Simpson become more proficient and more settled? Will DeBoer actually create?
It's coaching.
Yeah,
I mean, we can talk about all that. At the end of the day, it's coaching.
yeah.
It's the coach's responsibility to get these guys comfortable with being in whatever positions and putting them in the right positions. And this past weekend, it just didn't happen. Matter of fact, when you going for it on 4th and 5 at the 50 in the third quarter, and it's still daggone about 8-9 minutes left in the third quarter, you panic. That's coaching. And if the coach is panicking, what you think the player's gonna do at the end of the day? So I don't even remember what question 2 was. Drew threw so many questions at me, he was still talking. So
Two questions.
Okay.
First question: which university is wide receiver university, LSU or Ohio State University? Second question: will Alabama be ranked at the end of the year? So enough about Alabama. We shall see what they got here.
Based off of who's in the league right now, it has to be LSU. I mean, I can't recall too many on you, but you got Marvin Harrison Jr. That's it out there.
Yeah, you got Chris Olave that plays with the Saints. You have a couple of other receivers that are Ohio State.
They ain't making no noise like Chase and Jefferson. They ain't making no noise like that.
And Thomas and Nate.
But I do know an Alabama player that just won a Super Bowl chasing them. It's by the name of Devontae Smith. I ain't gonna say that, former Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna leave it at that.
From Louisiana. I know.
You had to fit that in there. Okay.
All right, man. Let's get to that Louisiana team.
Hold on 1 second. Make sure y'all scan that QR code so you can vote. There's a QR code on the screen right now. Jordan put up there. Scan that QR code so you can answer this, so we can see what the results going to be. Go ahead.
That's what I'm talking about. We all know that it's LSU, but speaking of LSU, LSU had a big game this weekend where they traveled to Orangeburg, South Carolina to take on the number 4 ranked Clemson Tigers, who many people believe are one of the top 2 teams in the country into this season because they come back with at least 80% of their starters. And many people, too, include my co-host, believe that the hometown Tigers, who are in Death Valley Junior, were going to come out of this game victorious when the real Tigers, who come from the original and real Death Valley, were coming into this game and season with a lot of hopes and dreams. LSU, led by Garrett Nussmeier, has an offensive game plan and an offensive scheme that you know is going to be able to consume the clock, pick up yardage, and put points on the board. But the concern this year, rightfully so, was whether or not LSU's defense was going to resemble any legitimate type of defense to where it, one, kept LSU in the game, depending on who the opponent is, and being able to shut down their key playmakers from that opposing team, and or 2, more importantly, being able to put some pressure on that opposing team's quarterback. Well, for me, ladies and gentlemen, coming into this game, I was not only pleasantly surprised, but I was awestruck at how proficient my Tigers were on defense. Going into Clemson, talk aside, a very good team coming into this season who is legitimately a national championship contender. And before the game started, I made mention to family that I was with watching the game that the national champion is going to come out of this game right here between the LSU Tigers and the Clemson Tigers. And the winner of tonight's opening season game will eventually win the national championship, just simply based on how these teams look coming into the year. And you may see these 2 teams play each other in the playoffs. You may see Alabama play Florida State in the playoffs. You just never know. You may see Texas, Ohio State play in the playoffs in December. We just don't know how this season is going to unfold. But speaking as a diehard LSU fan that has been a Tiger for life, what they showed on Saturday night not only made every LSU fan hopeful about this season, but downright giddy when you hear Neck played in Tiger Stadium, or when you hear the unofficial theme song played about what you can do when in the presence of a Tiger. Uh, LSU is going to be a formidable team this year. How did you see not only my Tigers show up and represent the SEC and got one of the two victories for the SEC that we were talking about on Friday, but more importantly, how this season is going to unfold for both of these two teams?
Look, man. First of all, I was happy for y'all, man, because Brian Kelly. He really needed this win. Yeah, I mean, he ain't him in opening games just ain't his thing. That ain't what he doing. I just didn't need to see him hit a table again. I was very impressed with y'all defense as well as y'all running game.
Yeah.
I did pick Clemson in this game, but I also said it had a lot to do with the play of the Clemson quarterback, which again you would think Clemson is one of those teams that Dabo Swinney, he don't do too much of the transfer portal, and he build within, and 80% of his team has been with him the whole time, and so I thought that they had a little bit more experience with him, but again Kupnik is saying he struggled again in this game like he did, and a lot of it had to do with your defense and the pressure that the defense was putting on him. So, shout out to the LSU team for keeping keeping the SEC in contention at least, because the way Texas and Alabama played, people starting to think that the SEC has dropped off, but thank y'all for keeping us in there until we get back on track. That's all I'm gonna say. I ain't got nothing else good to say about LSU.
Hey, we will take what we can get at this point early on in the season. So, congratulations to my almighty Tigers, looking good coming out the gate. I am proud of you, Brian Kelly. I truly am, because the grit that LSU has been missing the past few years on defense was not there. The discipline that had been missing was there. The ability to wrap up and tackle was there. The offensive play calling was there, where we had a good mixture of run and pass. And as Griff mentioned, the success in the run game opened up the opportunities for Nussmeier, who we already know has a gun, who is not shy about trying to thread the needle. So I look for my Tigers, if they stay healthy, to be right there competing for the SEC championship in December. Go Tigers. Clemson will be all right. They are still one of the better teams in the national collegiate level. Still at 0-1, even though Florida State won, even though Miami won. I still think Clemson is the best team in the ACC after week one, but we shall see how the season unfolds for these two teams and their respective conference. Now, closing out the weekend, my man, we had another ACC team, the Miami Hurricanes, the U, taking on a traditional rival in the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who was in last year's national championship game. And we both said that this game was going to be close. We both said that this game was going to come down to a late fourth quarter drive from either one of these two teams, or a key turnover that was going to decide this game. Both of these two teams are top 10 teams. Notre Dame was coming into this game preseason ranked number 6. Miami preseason ranked number 10. Carson Beck joining the Miami Hurricanes and trying to prepare them off of what Cam Ward did last year prior to their collapse at the end of the year against Syracuse. But Miami won a close game at home. We both picked Miami, if I'm not mistaken, to win a close game at home. So this game kind of played out how we expected. But what impressed you from both of these two teams that you're confident in seeing them in late November, early December competing for a playoff position?
Man, Miami looked like the Miami of old, man, as far as the way the defense and stuff was playing, man. I really like that. Uh, Carson Beck didn't do much, but he did enough to keep the team in there. But they was able to run the ball. But the defense, we already know Notre Dame. This game don't really, and we both said this, I think, on Friday, that Miami needed this win more than Notre Dame did. Notre Dame is not in the conference, but with the 12 playoff, the way it's set up with 12 teams, they'll be in there because they didn't do nothing to hurt themselves from being knocked down too far. Uh, they did. Miami forced Notre Dame young quarterback to be involved because Notre Dame is that team that play good defense and they love to run the ball. I know it's probably something Troy done put up there. Anytime anybody start laughing while somebody talking, Troy done put some in the chat that's just take away. But I think both of these teams played it was a pretty good game. It was definitely a better game for me to watch after watching what happened to my team, man. I still want to see more from Carson Beck, but he did enough to not lose the game for his team. Notre Dame, they're gonna have to figure out what they can do when they can't run the ball because they are a team that is built on running the ball and playing good defense. So, yeah, another a good way to close out the evening. Saturday was a good start to college football.
Yeah. Saturday was a very good start. The game between Miami and Notre Dame. On Sunday night was one of those games where you look forward to what both teams can have for the rest of the year. Not a huge loss for Notre Dame, even though they wanted that victory. They needed that victory. I think having Michael Irvin on the sideline, Troy, is that spirit within the Hurricane nation that takes it from a category 2 to a category 3, 4, and 5 when needed. So Michael Irvin being on the sidelines is something that
they had a whole bunch of celebrities on that side.
Oh, they did. Ray Lewis was there. So the Miami Hurricane allure was definitely represented, and then I look for that to continue throughout the season. Being that Michael Irvin ain't gonna have too much to cheer about on the professional side, so we'll leave that at that. Speaking of the professional side, we got some good games, man. Ladies and gentlemen, as Griff mentioned earlier, the NFL is back. These games on Sunday, I want to touch on real quick. Do a quick drive-by, so to speak, tonight. Highlight these games where we're going to dive deeper into them on Friday night. But these early opening season games where traditionally did not have a huge impact or a key stance on where the season is going to go is not necessarily the case this year. We'll start off with the NFC North, the Pack, who just got better, taking on the best team in the National Football Conference the past year. The Detroit Lions, the 3-1-3, what up, dope, Fred Lions. Can the Lions repeat, or will the Packers, who not only was projected to be a very good team this year, led by what many people think is a legitimate MVP candidate in Jordan Love, if he's able to cut back on his turnovers, are they going to be the king of the North this year, or will the Lions hold that throne? It starts on Sunday. Who do you got and
We
why?
got the Lions in this game, man. I mean, even with the addition of Michael Parsons and all the other stuff, and I know the Lions and lost their offensive and defensive coordinator, so I still think, man, I just love the energy of their coach. I love the players on that squad. Michael Parsons is an addition to Green Bay, and it's going to help their defense. But still, to beat the man, you got to beat the man. I still think the Lions still own that division.
Okay, well, real quick, I'll reserve my pick for Friday. My apologies for asking the question about who you got early on in this game, but I haven't heard too much about the Lions during the offseason, right? They drafted well. They've made some key decisions as it pertains to key skill players, but who's the offensive coordinator? Who's the new defensive coordinator? I haven't really dug into that yet. We will see on Sunday whether or not the Lions can pick up where they left off because all of those players that were injured at the end of the year last year are fresh or healthy. So you would expect the on-the-field performance not to taper off too much. Jared Goff is still, becoming better as a game manager. He is not that game changer, but he is one of the best game managers that we have in the National Football League. So the addition of Micah Parsons even if he plays on Sunday, is going to be in a limited capacity to ensure that he doesn't injure himself in key plays where it's a key down and trying to get some pressure. So he may have a impact with a sack or two if he does play, but I don't see him having a huge impact in the game simply because of the non-activity during training camp. The Lions are the team to beat until you show me that you're able to do so. The Packers will be there at the end, but not coming right out of the gate, in my opinion. But I would not be surprised if they win. We shall see on Sunday. The next game that I want to kind of touch on and is going to garner a lot of conversation, not because these are the two hottest teams in the National Football League, but it's because of the two quarterbacks of these two teams. The Steelers traveling to New York to take on the Jets, where last year's starting quarterback for the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers, is now on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And for a time, last year's starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Justin Fields, is now the starting quarterback for the Jets. And new head coach Aaron Glenn looking to get the Jets back in the win column where they can smell the playoffs. Haven't seen it in 14 plus years, but maybe capture some of that. Mark Sanchez magic that they once had to come back and make some noise. We'll talk about the game itself on Friday, but what are you looking for from Justin Fields more specifically? And we'll cover Aaron Rodgers on Friday, but more specifically, Aaron or Justin Fields coming out of the gate, whether or not he can actually be the starter for the Jets all year and going into the future.
I still don't think Justin has ever been given the opportunity to thrive with even with the Bears as well as with the Steelers. I think he's going to be okay. He's with a defense. The Jets, that what he got going for them is that defense. That defense is going to keep them in the game. I think Justin Field has the targets, and if they just play within his wheelhouse, allow them running backs to do what they do up there because he got a good running game up there with the Jets. This game, the Jets could come out of this game with a win. But like you said, we'll talk about who we're going to select on Friday. But that's what I need to see from Justin Field. Don't get a game away. You got a defense that's going to keep you there. You just need to make sure that you don't do nothing to get a game away.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Game manager in quotations, game manager out of quotations. That is going to be Justin Fields' label for the foreseeable future. And hopefully he doesn't make the mistake that cost them the game. So we shall see what they got this weekend. We'll talk about it in greater detail on Friday, and we'll make our selection there. Next game I want to kind of touch on is where rookies are going to enter the chat. And the possibility of rookies having an impact in the 2025 season. The G-men are going to be traveling to the hottest team in the National Football League other than the Philadelphia Eagles, your Washington Commanders. That is my pick to possibly knock off the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East. Griff believes the Cowboys have the better shot of knocking off the Eagles in the NFC East. You said on Friday night that the Commanders are going to have a sophomore slump of sorts because of Jaden Daniels' second year. Do you honestly believe, and that's the only question I'll ask, that the Commanders are going to have a real sophomore slump, knowing what you know about Dan Reeves? Not Dan Reeves. Who's your coach?
Once they leave the Cowboys, I don't remember their names no more. I don't have nothing. Once they leave, matter of fact, you won't even hear me say that guy that's in Green Bay name no more. Once they leave, I forget it. I'll erase them from my memory bank.
All right, so what do you got for the Commanders, man?
Hey, again, the Commanders is as good as Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn, yeah.
Thank you, Troy. You know you're dealing with two senior citizens over here. We both in the over 50 club, but the Commanders season could have went either way. I mean, they won a lot of Hail Marys and stuff like that. I'm telling you, and the tape is out there on them now. So I mean, they got Terry McLaurin now, they got Debo Samuels over there and stuff like that. But I still don't think that they're gonna have the season that everybody, all those Commanders fans been looking for. They go, hey, you gonna have to really. I mean, it's a good thing they got the National Guard already deployed up there because at the end of the season they really gonna need them to because all the Commanders fans is gonna be really upset.
Yeah, well, that's one way of looking at it. We shall see. I don't see the Commanders having that much of a drop off this year. Again, it all depends on health from those key players. With McLaurin coming in, being secure with his contract, and Jaden Daniels not showing at any point in his young career, whether it was collegiate or last year, that he has a bad year when he has the requisite weapons available to him, because he is going to show up. He is going to show out. He is going to make sure that his contribution to his team's success is worthwhile. Now, yeah, you're right. They did have a lot of one-score games last year, which could have gone either way. You don't expect that trend to continue, where they had that 12-5 season, made it all the way to the NFC title game, and opened a lot of eyes. Will they have a repeat? I think they're going to have a similar season this year. Not maybe 12-5 worthy, but definitely 10-7, 11-6 at a minimum. And we'll be right there competing for a playoff spot. Now on to the worst best team to ever touch the NFL field. The Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Cleveland Browns, the battle for OHIO this upcoming weekend in the state championship game, opening the year. Will Cincinnati actually put a defense together like my LSU Tigers did to surprise a lot of people, to make their offense, which is always going to be one of the better teams on the offensive side of the ball when you have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and all of the other requisite weapons that you have on the offensive side, to make them competitive. The question I have for you, we'll talk about the Browns and their quarterback situation on Friday, but the question I have for you is, will the Bengals be what they were in 2024, or will they actually be a better team in 2025?
They ain't do nothing to fix the defense, man. They ain't do nothing to fix the defense or the offensive line.
Mm.
Their problem is and I don't wish nothing bad on Joe Burrows, but that offensive line, he won't make it through a whole season because of that offensive line. They ain't fixed that, and they still the problems that they had signing their top defensive player over there. So that's a distraction, and I still don't see them being. They're gonna still be in that the best worst team in the league, or the worst best team in the league. That's what they're gonna continue to be.
Yeah. I mean, the Cincinnati Tigers or the LSU Bengals. I don't know this year. You can trust the offense if they still have those weapons healthy to be in every game. They will score 30 points a game. They will average in the high 20s. And whether or not they can capture what they had in 2021 when they went to the Super Bowl, or 2022 and knocked off Kansas City in the AFC title game, is going to be dependent on whether or not Zach Taylor and that defense actually shows up. Yes, they did have some off-season turbulence trying to sign Trey Hendrickson back to a long-term deal. He got a one-year deal for $30+ million. They're likely to lose him at the end of the season, especially if he has another bomb year on defense, where he not only leads the team but is one of the NFL leaders in sacks as he was last year. But the offense is going to put up numbers similar to what they had last year. Joe Burrow had an MVP caliber year. Jamar Chase, we know, won the Triple Crown, receiving yards, touchdowns, and catches, where he led the league in all three of those categories. T. Higgins was not far behind. So as long as they stay healthy, they're going to be in every game. We shall see in the very first game against the Cleveland Browns whether or not the Cincinnati Bengals defense has improved, or whether or not they're going to continue to be the worst best team in the National Football League. I think they're going to be better. They're going to be slightly better. Probably going to more be like a 10-7, 11-6 type team if they stay healthy. And we shall see how the season plays out in the AFC North, which traditionally has been one of the tougher divisions in the league. This year, I think it's the AFC West, but we'll talk about that later. Next game I want to touch on is, are the 49ers back? Or is Sam Darnold's journey going to continue to trajectory going towards, hey, I am going to be a long-term quarterback? Sam Darnold, the new quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. San Francisco always plays tough against Seattle. Seattle always plays tough against San Francisco. They're playing in the 12th man in Seattle. Whether the dome is open or whether the dome is closed, it's probably going to rain, even if it's closed. That's just what it happens. That's how it happens in Seattle. What are you looking for from the 49ers this year? We haven't heard much about them in the offseason as well. Are they going to return to be one of the NFL's better teams, or are they going to begin that downward trajectory where they had their window and that window is now closing? Or are we going to still believe in that coach who's supposed to be one of the offensive gurus and Mr. Shanahan?
No, I think that window then closed for the 49ers, man. There's a lot of pieces that left that was there during the time when they had the opportunity. I think that the patience as far as the Shanahan, I think this is probably going to be the last year as far as that relationship. I think that Seattle are positioned, and I think as much as we make fun of Sam Darnold, I think with his time in Minnesota and just watching how he done grown since he's been in the league, I think this is going to be his year to take Seattle back in the direction that they were a few years back. I just think the 49ers are finna go back down. Christian McCaffrey is not a spring chicken anymore. I
Right,
mean,
right,
he's been injury prone.
right.
And so, I think they're going down. I think they're going to drop.
So who is the Seattle head coach? Who's the new head coach for the Seahawks?
Hey, Meta, let me ask Meta. Let me turn my glasses on, man. That's how I get smart now, man.
Okay. Well, either that or somebody in the chat put it in there. But you're right. The 49ers are aging. I don't think this is the final year of that relationship between Shanahan and the GM because they're kind of tied at the hip. Um, depends on how Seattle looks in this game as to whether or not they're going to be competitive for this year. I know Troy made mention that they were competitive in the preseason and they look good. Sam Darnold, I believe, has established and settled himself to where last year was not an anomaly for him. He's going to continue to build off of that, and the Seattle Seahawks will be competitive in their division this year, but we'll talk more about that game and each division on Friday. And wrapping up the initial games that I wanted to give some attention to was your hometown team, H-Town, the Houston Texans. Are they the best team in Texas? Is C.J. Stroud going to bounce back from that sophomore slump that you said he had last year? And are they going to be one of those teams that propel themselves into the conversation that is possibly going to be that team to dethrone Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and or knock off the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens and stake their claim to being the team coming out of the AFC? And or will Mr. La La Land himself be able to make it an entire year because of his back? Are the Rams going to be here come midseason, or are we looking at the Cardinals or the Seahawks as the best team in the NFC West?
I think again, I'm hoping Matthew Stafford. I mean, he ain't a spring chicken no more, and I think their whole season is contingent based off how he makes it through. On the Texans side, you can say what you want. They're not the best team in the state of Texas. I don't care what nobody say. They're not the best team in the state of Texas. Is up in Arlington, Texas, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. The Texans, I still don't think they're at that spot where they can move the other teams out of the AFC right now. Nick Chubb is going to be starting. I think Mixon is still hurt, so I'm really pulling for Nick Chubb. If you follow his history, he had a career, what we thought was going to be a career-ending injury when he was at Georgia. He had another one when he was
with
with the
Cleveland.
Browns, man. But I really want to see him to come through. I love D'Amico Ryans. I love what they doing here in Texas, man. But I still think they still a year or two removed from being that team that everybody's afraid of in the AFC. They don't. I don't see them striking the field of like other teams would within the AFC. The Buffalo Bills or the Ravens or the Chiefs. I don't see them beat neither one of those three teams. So I can't say it's their time yet.
It all depends on the Texans' run game this season. You made mention of Nick Chubb and his return to full healthy status, and being side by side with Joe Mixon, where neither one of them, when Joe Mixon does come back after week 4, because of that high ankle sprain, where they're going to be able to be that dual-headed monster that you want coming out of the backfield. And D'Amico Ryans is a head coach that plays to his strength. He knows that he has a run game in the building that has the potential to mirror what Baltimore has. That has the potential to mirror what Kansas City has, to where I don't have to rely on one back, where I can spread the ball evenly. And it is at a certain time what Cleveland had with Chubb and Hurt. That used to be with the Kansas City Chiefs. But if Chubb remains healthy the first quarter of the season, and after Joe Mixon comes back, if Houston can have not only a 50-50 type of offensive philosophy, but where we are run heavy and we have offensive success. Don't forget about Tank Dell coming back, Collins on the other side. Houston has that passing game that does have the ability to create separation. CJ Stroud does have the arm that can get that deep ball. He does have the ability to scramble and create his own plays. And if you have that solid run game, I look for the Houston Texans to be there in December, possibly challenging Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City, Denver, and Cincinnati if they get a defense for AFC supremacy. So we shall see. A lot of opening week games that are going to answer a lot of unanswered questions for a lot of teams in the National Football League. Looking forward to every single one of them. Each and every one of them have plots and subplots that are not only making that game interesting, but are going to provide telltale signs for each one of these teams for the entirety of 2025. Early season games used to didn't matter, both on the collegiate level and in the National Football League. But in 2025, early season games definitely matter in college football. And even though we have a 17-game schedule, first week games matter in the NFL because we have a lot of teams that are projected to go 11-6, 12-5, 13-4 within the same division. So each one of those games are going to matter. A lot of these games are divisional games, not only conference games, but divisional games at the very beginning of the season. So that division record will matter. Bigger game, one word answer. Bigger game this weekend between the Steelers and the Jets. Who do you think has a bigger game? Aaron or Justin Fields?
Justin Fields.
Who do you believe is going to be the rookie that has the impact in week 1? Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, maybe my man out of Ole Miss, Judson Dart, maybe another rookie quarterback, maybe J.J. McCarthy, still considered a rookie. Which rookie will have the biggest impact in week 1?
Again, I said it on Friday, man. JJ McCarthy, even though he in his second season, he's still a rookie. He didn't play last year. In my eyes, he's the one that's gonna have the biggest impact because he's gonna be the one that get the most playing time out of all the guys that's out there. I mean, Troy to put Gent. I don't think Gent is going. I mean, I really don't. I don't think he's gonna have the season that people think he's gonna have. Good running back, but JJ McCarthy is still my rookie of the year, even though he in his second season.
Okay.
We didn't see him last. We didn't see him last year.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And with a weapon coming from the best wide receiver university, Justin Jefferson, who just so happens to be either number one or number two on everybody's board, as your primary target. I would look for J.J. McCarthy not only to have early season success, but elongated success throughout the season as long as JJ stays healthy. You have Thielen back, and look for a Minnesota offense to continue to compete as they did last year. Any questions in the comments from the audience or from the Roundtable family that we did not get to, that we want to get to, Jordan, that you identified that needs to be clarified? And if you have the results of the poll, please go ahead and put those up to confirm what we already know. Phenomenal opening show for season 3 for the NFL side of the house. I'm looking forward to 6 months of football that I just think the officiating will not have that much of an impact this season, where games will not flip on a controversial call, where there will be confusion, where a catch is not a catch, or a fumble is not a fumble, and or a defensive pass interference is an actual defensive pass interference that is called at key moments of the game. And please, NFL, allow the teams and the players on the field to decide who is the victor. Again, at the top of the show, I made mention that you had 1,700 plus players on active rosters. This opening weekend, you have even hundreds more on practice squads that are vying for that glory that every one of those teams are seeking to be able to hoist the Vince Lombardi Trophy in February at the end of each year. This year is no different. I am here for it. Me and my Griff and I are going to be here the entire year to talk about these big games each and every weekend. No, Rodgers will not be forced to retire by the second quarter. I think Aaron Rodgers is actually going to have a pretty good year myself if he doesn't get hurt, where he's going to throw for 3,500 yards, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have another 9-8, 10-7 year. So, Griff, while Jordan pulls up the poll numbers from tonight's poll questions, what are you looking for the most in this year's NFL season?
And hey, man, just good football play, man. That's what I look for every year. You talked about the officials letting the players play. I just want some good games. I don't want to see a whole bunch of blowouts, man. I really want to see some of these young guys, shine, get their opportunity. But I'm just looking for a good, football season, man. For me, this is the time of the year where I have life again. Because when football season is over with, man, it's like I go into a deep, dark depression, and I got to go look at other stuff. But when football come back around, man, hey, matter of fact, when football season is over with, I have to write books. It led me to writing a book because of football. Shameless plug on Griff. But Alabama would not be ranked in the end of the season. 12 say yes, 4 say no. Okay, cool. 40 rounds. But yeah, man, I just want a good football season, man.
Okay, all right. So y'all don't believe, or y'all do believe Alabama's going to be ranked?
No, they said no. 12 people say they won't. They won't be ranked.
Okay, I am in agreement with the 12. I do not believe that the Alabama Crimson Tide is going to be ranked at the end of the year because they're going to take at least 3 more L's just because of their schedule. It's not because of the team. Thank you, Jordan.
We got sound effects and stuff, man. Lord,
yeah. And we all know that LSU is WRU. All right. So, any closing comments for the roundtable audience, Griff?
I just want to say, welcome back to everybody. Thank y'all for showing up every Tuesday and Friday. Y'all know where we're gonna be at. Hey, I know we went an hour and 35 minutes at the start of the season. We're gonna try to be very respectful of y'all time. But thank y'all for all the comments, all the engagements inside there. And make sure, like I say every week, make sure you bring somebody, like they say at church, bring somebody with you. Hey, will there be one to come? Bring one with you, man. But again, I'm just glad that we got football season back here. and see everybody on Friday.
Yes, sir. Football is back officially across the multiple levels. Pop Warner has kicked off. High school football has kicked off. NCAA football has kicked off. And now the National Football League, the creme de la creme, is kicking off its 2025 season on Thursday, 2 days away, with a very, very big game between NFC East rivals, the Dallas Cowboys, traveling to the Philadelphia Eagles to take on the defending Super Bowl champions. First game of a weekend slated with big games, both in the NFL and on the collegiate level. We will get into all of those games on Friday night during Friday night show. And as Griff mentioned, please ensure that you are liking and sharing our content as we continue to unfold the 2025 season. Share with your friends and your family and continue to support the Roundtable show because this show is all about you. Your commentary in the comments, your questions, your insights is what makes this show thrive. And I am looking forward to a phenomenal season across the NFL and NCAA. The next 6 months are going to be great, fire, informative, and community related focus for us all. So, as Griff mentioned, we will see you all on Friday night. Have a blessed week, a safe week. Take care of yourselves. Do something nice for yourselves. Do something nice for your family throughout this calendar week if you are physically able to do so. And please, please, if the opportunity presents itself, do something nice for somebody that you may not even know because it just might be the best thing that happens to them on that particular day. Y'all be safe. Y'all be blessed. Be breezy.